Hello, everybody. This is Tooth and Claw Podcast. We have the King of Bears, Wes Larson. I'm sticking with it. You are the King of Bears.
Okay. I'll be an honest king.
Particularly black bears.
Sure. Yeah. Polar bears are the bear I've spent the most time working with.
King of Polar Bears, but
King of the North.
Yeah.
Not doing such a good job as king.
No, I'm not.
People keep saying they're in trouble.
Okay. Yeah. Who else do we have?
I'm Wes's younger brother, Jeff. Let's see. What's some of my accomplishments? I made 2 shots out of 5 at the fair and won a big stuffed animal once.
Okay. That's
and
cool.
Then
that's good.
We have Mike Smith. He broke Colorado's long jump record, but then he foot faulted. But then he might not have foot faulted, but they said he did, so he didn't break it.
It's still under review. I appealed it. It's been 20 years.
No one's beaten you since. It stands.
No, not in my record book.
And then we have a special guest.
We do?
Yeah.
Who is it? A ghost?
It's a ghost.
I wish.
The ghost of Timothy Treadwell's with us today.
He probably is.
And
if he's going to haunt anyone,
just going to be listening in. He's not going to talk at all.
Yeah. All right. I'm excited about today's episode because it's one of our favorite animals. It's an animal we all got to see together in Australia. You got any guesses what that might be?
Koala.
Cassowary.
It's neither of those.
Kangaroo. How did we not see a kangaroo? Isn't that like the craziest thing that's ever happened to anybody?
We saw wallabies, which is kind of similar.
How do you go to Australia for like a week and a half and not see a kangaroo?
And focus on wildlife too. Like pretty much everywhere we went, we were trying to see wildlife.
I don't understand.
But we did see an animal that not many people in Australia see. You have to travel to see it. It's not easy to see. And we almost didn't even get to have the experience we had because of some weird complications that we ran into. But that animal is the great white shark. Or in Australia,
complications?
We almost didn't get to see it in the cage because we were the first group in and the shark
they were always going to get us.
It didn't really show up. Yeah, but I mean, it could have like disappeared after a few more groups and then we never would have seen it. So I was really happy with our experience. Beautiful animals. I think definitely a top 10 animal for all of us, I would say. Is that right, Jeff?
No.
I'm not sure about you. Okay. For me, it's a top 3. Mike, it's top 3 for you.
It is number 3 for me. Yeah.
Okay. It's number 2 for me, I believe.
Not top ocean animal for you, Mike. And it's
not
top
quite.
3.
Yeah.
Wow.
Top ocean animal for Mike is...
Holy cow, you're probably saying.
I don't know. What's your top ocean
it's
animal?
An orca.
Spotted eagle
Orca.
Ray? Orca. Okay.
Yeah. I do love spotted eagle rays.
Yeah. But I was thinking, when I was trying to think of the subject for this episode, I was thinking, we should do a shark. It's been a minute since we've done a shark. And I was thinking back, it's actually been a while since we've done a great white story. I can't even think of our last one. Can you guys?
Ooh.
Yeah. Was it the Jaws 3-parter?
I mean, yeah, like the 2016 one, or 1916 3-parter one.
Yeah.
It could have been.
It's like 2 years ago.
Our last one. Yeah. So it's been a minute. This is one of our favorite animals. It is the shark responsible for the most bites on people and the most fatalities on people. So this is our top dog when it comes to shark bites. Probably, yeah, I would say without a doubt, it's responsible for the most bites on seals because most of the other sharks don't eat seals. So yeah,
that's
without a doubt.
Wow, that's an interesting, because I didn't have anything interesting to say. Continue, Wes.
To a lot of seals in the world, this is like enemy number 1. This is their biggest threat is great white sharks. So we're lucky we're not seals is what I'm trying to say, but not so much our victim in this story.
Do you think on the board, so you know how you always pin up like the pictures of the top 10 most wanted? For the seals board, do you think it's a profile shot of a shark on the picture, or is it straight on face first?
I think profile. I think they look cooler as a profile and a little scarier.
It's a little scarier, yeah. If you have like a straight on shot of a shark, the seals are probably just Like when you see a bald eagle straight on, you're like, that's kind of a goofy looking animal. But then you turn it sideways and you're like, that's the symbol of a nation.
Yeah. I bet you 9 of the 10 are all just different great whites. And then there's like one really bad seal in there too.
Yeah, one like
like the Epstein of seals.
Yeah.
Well, when I was looking into this story for the episode today, I actually stumbled on another story that happened recently that is very similar to our main story. And I'm going to start with it because there's some interesting parallels, and I think it'll set the scene nicely for our main story today. So you guys ready?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. In 2024, a German tourist was aboard a United Kingdom flagged catamaran. So this is like a German person, but on a British boat. And she was enjoying the beautiful weather and clear blue seas south of the Canary Islands and directly to the west of Western Sahara, which is a country in Africa. A few days prior, she and her companions had left the almost unbelievably idyllic town of Las Palmas on Gran Canaria, and I did look it up. It is a gorgeous place that is now on my radar for places I'd love to visit. And they're headed south in their catamaran. They're straddling the western edge of the African continent. It's a particularly hot day.
Some big legs.
Straddling. Yeah. That doesn't need to mean that you're straddling with legs, Mike.
That's what it means to me.
Yeah. It's a particularly hot day on September 16th, 2024. And as
Africa's
they're sailing,
got some nice humps, you know?
Oh, yeah. You squeeze right in because, it has like the big bump on the western edge.
Yeah.
You sit right in the saddle there. Oh,
dude, that dumper on Africa.
Big old giga dumpy.
As they're sailing, they decide to come to a stop and they take a quick dip in the ocean to cool off. And what they didn't know is that they're actually sharing that particular patch of water with the ocean's most refined and most feared predator. Both of our stories today are going to be stories of people getting in water quickly in places where there shouldn't be a great white shark, but they just have the bad luck to finally decide to jump in the water in a place where there's a great white. And as this German woman dove into the cool water, she's splashing around. This commotion and vibrations are traveling through the ocean, and they pique the interest of a large great white shark. It's open ocean, food is scarce, and any potential meal needs to be investigated. So the shark slices through the water effortlessly, picking up a bit of speed as it approaches the sound and these vibrations. The woman's swimming right next to the catamaran and staring up into the clear blue sky when suddenly something large bumps her from below and tugs on her leg. She hardly has time to scream before she's pulled underwater, and then another tug on her leg. She's once again above the surface, reaching for the boat and babbling in fear, and as she comes out of the water, she looks down in horror to see that her leg is missing, and there's a huge amount of blood that's already coursing from the stump where her leg had just been.
Man, that'd be so crazy. Just like in seconds, your leg is just not there.
Yeah. An emergency call is made. She does her best to stem the bleeding, but she would have to wait almost 6 hours before the helicopter would arrive. And by the time she's loaded into this aircraft, she's already on the brink of death. She would end up dying from heart failure on the way to the nearest hospital.
Hearts need blood.
Hearts do need blood. They need pressure. You need to have enough blood in there to pump that heart.
Yeah. And so do legs.
So do legs. Yeah.
When your leg comes off, a lot of blood falls out.
It keeps that pressure in there. That's true. That's some good medical insight there, Jeff. If your leg comes off, a lot of blood falls out.
Yeah.
You've probably been watching The Pit, haven't you, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I learned about how you need a leg. Or at least that it's like actually pretty useful. Yeah.
Yeah, they are useful for a lot of things. But that's actually not our main story for the day. It's just one that's very similar to the one I'm going to tell, but ours has a better ending. We're going to call that a sad first course.
So, the Olympic divers?
Yeah.
You think that they could, dive into the ocean and the shark doesn't sense it?
Just because they make such a calm, nice splash?
They don't splash at all.
I know you're kind of saying that as a joke, but it's true. The less splashing you do.
I'm kind of serious.
Yeah, like the less splashing you do in the water, the less commotion you're making, the less you sound like potential prey to a shark. So yes.
It's interesting because I think Greg Louganis, that's how he got hurt, was a shark.
It's
right?
not. He actually hit his head on the diving board. He also got hurt from AIDS.
That's true.
All right.
I don't know that reference, but it's still funny.
Yeah. All right. So for our story, we're actually going back to 1994. And I just want you guys to know, when we started the podcast, this was one of the 2 great white shark stories that I had top of mind. The other was Rodney Fox. This one was the other one. So this is a very famous great white shark incident. It is one that a lot of people know about, and there's a good reason for that, and we're going to get to it. But we're in for an interesting story today.
All right.
Okay. So March 1994 was a hard time for a lot of people. Do either of you have any guesses why that might be?
I mean, it's been a whole year since Jurassic Park came out. Like, what are we all doing out here? What's there to do for fun?
That's right, Mike. Jurassic Park was no longer in theaters, and the home VHS wouldn't be in stores until that fall. So there really wasn't much to do in March of 1994. And that
Except for they did play it in theaters a lot in 1994.
They didn't. Its theatrical run was over.
They did.
I don't think they did.
I promise you.
Okay. All right.
Because you have a category coming up, and I was looking what all was in the theater, and Jurassic Park was in the theater.
All right. Okay.
That's not totally shocking. Big movies back then would just go for a year. Kind of.
I remember this time pretty well, though, because I remember there was this big, long period in between the theatrical run and the home VHS where I was like starting to kind of forget the movie, even though I'd seen it 5 times in theaters. And it was in mid 1994.
That's probably your dad was tired of taking you there, so he just told you it was no longer in theaters.
That could be true. I was only 9, so I would have been pretty dumb. So Heather Boswell might have been bored in March 1994. I don't know. But she decided to join earlier than that the NOAA, NOAA Oceanographic Research Vessel Discoverer for a 6-month stint at sea. Heather's job is in the galley, which is essentially the kitchen of the ship. She's 19 years old. It's not necessarily the most glamorous job aboard the Discoverer, but she's gaining valuable experience. She's seeing parts of the world that not many 19-year-olds, especially in 1994, had ever seen. This ship went around through Antarctica, up through the Chilean coast. It was a really interesting route that she got to see some really cool places. She'd graduated high school in 1992. She's now on the adventure of a lifetime before heading back to normal life and kind of starting her adult life. However,
she straddled the coast of Chile.
She straddled the coast, yeah, and then you guys are going to have to get over that term.
Nice.
However, in March of 1994, a few months into the journey, her adventure would turn into a nightmare that would change the trajectory of the rest of her life.
You want to know what one of my favorite things in the world is besides whale sharks? It's saving money and not losing quality. I like being able to save my money. And unfortunately, big wireless carriers think that I shouldn't be able to do that, and they want to keep my money. That's why everyone needs to switch over to Mint Mobile. Stop overpaying for wireless just because that's how it's always been. Mint exists purely to fix that. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Bring your own phone and number, activate with an eSIM in minutes, and start saving immediately. No long-term contracts, no hassle. It's more important than ever to be saving your money, and this is one of the best, most efficient ways to do so. So if you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/tooth. That's mintmobile.com/tooth. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for the first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available, taxes and fee extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
It all started on a hot afternoon on March 23rd. The crew aboard the ship had been working all day. It's midday. There's stifling heat. And they beg the captain to take a break so that they can swim in the ocean. So the captain and the crew decide to slow down the ship, the Discoverer, to a stop, and they allow the crew to take a dip in the clear blue South Pacific Ocean. The water's about 80 degrees, so it's just kind of one of those days where it's super hot outside and you're jumping into the water to get, a break, essentially. You guys know what that feels like, getting a break every once in a while from the heat.
No,
for sure.
Not with you in charge.
Yeah, right. Fair enough.
Listeners, you have no idea. Wes, oh my God.
Not a
Hold
good
your
guy.
feet to the fire.
He's just like, do you check your emails? I'm like, no.
I think my bar is check your email twice a week or something. All right.
So hard.
We've talked a bit about the open ocean and how you really don't find a lot of life in these big stretches of warm ocean water. We talked about it as recently as the story of the whale ship Essex. When you're in especially warm, big, open, pelagic ocean, there's not much life there. It's kind of considered a desert. And that might have been the thought process for the people in charge of the ship when they decided to stop in this spot. But what they might have not known or understood was that they were actually in one of the most biologically significant areas of the entire Pacific Ocean. Because actually extending from the coast of Chile and running for over 2,000 miles, there are two large underwater mountain ranges called the Salas y Gomez and Nazca Ridges. And these mountains have hundreds of peaks that either come very close to breaking the surface or actually break the surface and are important habitat for tons of different animals, including corals, whales, turtles, and roughly 25 species of shark. So it's kind of this big oasis in this huge expanse of marine desert. And it's also where Easter Island is found. It's found in these ridges.
Cool.
What do you guys know about Easter Island?
Them big old heads.
Them big old heads. Big old
I want to see
stone
those.
heads.
I like
know.
those heads. It's cool.
There's all sorts of conspiracy theories about them too, Jeff, so you'd be into them. Like, did aliens put them there?
I'm not into alien stuff.
Okay.
That's stupid.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So maybe the crew knew that they were in this biodiverse hotspot. Maybe they didn't. But honestly, even if they did know that, they probably assumed that there wasn't any real risk in swimming in the ocean. Because honestly, 9,999 times out of 10,000 times, there isn't going to be any risk when you enter the ocean. We all know that. It's probably a much bigger number than that even. You can, I wouldn't think twice before jumping into this water if they wanted to stop and go for a swim. But this day was actually an exception, and it was a really big exception at that. And that's because the boat had happened to stop in the same general area as an especially large and especially curious great white shark.
Uh-oh.
So just what the heck is this great white doing so far from shore and out in the middle of the ocean? Well, we've talked about this before, but basically, even though the majority of great white sharks are going to be found relatively coastal and in, straddling the coast, you guys.
What? They don't have legs.
And
How
even
would a
though
shark straddle something, Jeff? Hold on.
I definitely straddle the African coast.
I know about you. You've said that. But basically, even though they're mostly found coastal and in areas that have these good feeding opportunities, like lots of marine mammals, lots of fish, they are a migratory species. And you could essentially find a great white shark just about anywhere in the ocean outside of the Arctic and Antarctic waters.
Oh, God, don't start with this.
With what?
First dinosaurs, now great white sharks are birds?
I'm not saying they're birds. Other animals can migrate. Yeah, birds don't own migration. Humans migrate.
Where?
To the McRib at McDonald's, in your case.
Exactly.
Is that an annual thing still? That doesn't happen like
New
every
York
year, does it?
City to Florida.
Aren't they done with the McRib? Isn't that over?
They said that.
Yeah.
Then they brought it back again. I'm done with it.
Are you?
Mike ruined it for me.
Oh.
I apologize for nothing. For nothing.
All right. So we've talked about this a little bit, but each year, great white sharks will leave their relative hotspots. These hotspots include places like the western coast of the U.S., the eastern coast of the U.S., southern Australia, South Africa, and they travel long distances before returning to their original locations. And there's still a lot that we don't know about white shark migration, but the discovery of the White Shark Cafe really helped shark biologists start to put together some of these puzzles. And we've talked about it even a little bit. Do you guys remember what the White Shark Cafe is?
No.
Basically, it's a spot between the western coast of North America and Hawaii where adult white sharks congregate and they do these really deep dives every night. And we had no idea that this existed before they started tagging and tracking white sharks. And then they saw that a bunch of these white sharks were going out into the middle of the ocean. There's a big group of them out there, and they're doing these deep dives. And researchers were kind of like, what the heck is going on? And they have since done research expeditions to this area to kind of figure it out. And they think that these white sharks are actually taking advantage of a really exceptional ocean oasis where there's lots of fish and squid and maybe mating opportunities as well. So it's kind of like a spot where they can get some different types of food and maybe even mate. And a cool thing about great whites...
What's like the human equivalent of that?
Las Vegas, maybe?
Yeah. I was going to say, like, cafes aren't usually where you go to just, like, find... Well, I guess to find opportunities to mate, but you're not mating in the cafe, usually.
No. But you might go there to meet, like, you might go there like, hey, maybe I'll bump into someone that I think is cool.
Like in the drama.
Exactly.
Lou Williams, when he, like, left the NBA bubble to go to a strip club, and he said they have really good chicken wings.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So basically, the mating thing, though, is more of kind of a hypothesis. And that's because, and this is one of my favorite things about white sharks, or great whites, is that we really know nothing about their mating behavior. It just it doesn't happen in front of us. We don't know where it happens. We just don't know about it. And I think that's so cool that they've been able to keep that secret from us for so long. It reminds me of the Lord of the Rings, like, oh, go ahead, keep your secrets, Frodo meme, I just think it's neat that this is such an iconic animal that's so studied around the world, and we still don't know anything about this really important part of its life.
Kind of cool, too, that they mate under intense pressure.
Yeah.
And they can still perform.
Yeah.
What do you mean, intense pressure?
Well, then you say they go deep in the ocean?
We don't know if that's for mating. That's probably to get squid and stuff. Yeah. But it could be for mating, but we have no idea.
Because the deeper you go, the more pressure you get.
That's true. Yeah. But they think that's probably them looking for food and most likely squid. But they're very private, kind of like Mike. We don't know anything about Mike's reproduction either. Do we, Jeff?
You don't
know a little bit.
A little bit.
I think it's, I mean, I leave it to your guys' imagination because in that scenario, I am whatever you want me to be rather than the disappointing reality.
You kind of are the premier Mike researcher too, Jeff, out there.
Let's just say, like, as far as eating and mating goes, he's good at, like, eating and mating at the same time.
Okay. Oh, I get what you're leading toward. We're just going to leave that, though.
Thanks, Jeff. That's like awesome wingman behavior right there. That's so good.
A similar thing happens with white sharks on the eastern coast of the U.S., and many of them leave their summer hunting grounds in New England and travel all the way to the Gulf of Mexico during the winter. Again, researchers think this may just be the sharks following productive food sources, potentially looking for mating opportunities, or even just trying to stay in their preferred water temperature range. So basically the important thing here, to sum this all up, is that we know we have these robust populations of white sharks around the globe, like the ones off the coasts of North America. We know they travel long distances, and we think that a big reason for those migrations is feeding opportunities. But up until somewhat recently, we kind of just thought white sharks were coastal, and now we know that they're highly migratory.
Gotcha. Like birds.
Like birds, exactly. All right,
And
so the white
dinosaurs.
and maybe dinosaurs. Yeah, that's probably true. Maybe paleontologists know that. I don't know. So the white sharks on the western coast of South America are pretty understudied because there isn't like a large reliable group of sharks that you might find there, like you'd find in California or Cape Cod. But there are white sharks that do call that coast home, and they're likely to be migratory as well. And to me, it makes sense that a shark leaving the coast and heading out into the open ocean might want to follow an undersea range of mountains that have higher productivity than the rest of the surrounding ocean. So basically what I'm getting at here is that while you really are very unlikely to run into a great white shark in this part of the world, if you were to find one, it would likely be in an area similar to the one that these people are about to swim in. And you know what? There was a white shark there, and she was huge. Yeah. We don't know the sex of this shark, but we do know that it was about 5 meters or 15 feet long. And that's a really big great white. So therefore, in my opinion, this is probably a female white shark because they do get quite a bit bigger than the males. And as this big shark cruised through the cooler water a few dozen meters below the surface, her highly tuned sense of hearing picked up on the splashes and vibrations a few hundred meters away. She gradually started to climb up through the column of water toward the sounds. We really can't undersell the importance of sound for sharks. When you guys learned about sharks growing up, what was the sense that people always talked about with them? Like their famous sense?
Blood in the water.
Yeah, blood in the water. And if you guys remember, we talked to Dan in one of our Indianapolis stories, who was on all the sharks and is an amazing shark guide and cameraman and stuff. And he mentioned that human blood doesn't really even have any biological significance to sharks. So they tend to ignore our blood. So that whole blood in the water thing is kind of overblown in media. But the thing that we probably should talk about even more is how important sound is for sharks. Essentially, their whole body is set up to detect and analyze vibrations in the water. And without going too much into the physiology of it, a shark kind of experiences sound in the way that you feel the bass vibrating from a big amp at a concert. You actually feel it in your body, like, you know, kind of buzzing in your body. And they can sense vibrations like that. Their whole body is tuned to pick up on those vibrations. So I'm really oversimplifying that, but basically, you just should understand that this sensitivity to vibration can help them pick up on sounds that are especially interesting. And the splashing and thrashing and generally kind of erratic sounds that an injured or incapacitated fish or marine mammal might make are really similar to the types of sounds that people make when they jump and swim in the ocean and they're trying to cool off. I think especially if you're just kind of chilling in the ocean and like splashing each other and just kind of having a fun time relaxing, we tend to make a lot of those really erratic types of sounds.
Dunking each other.
Dunking? If you dunk someone?
Yeah.
It's weird how if you get dunked underwater by someone, like in 2 seconds, you feel like you're about to run out of air. But if you just like put your head under and try and hold your breath, you can go for like a minute and a half or whatever. You know? Mm-hmm. Isn't that strange?
Very strange.
Pretty strange, huh?
Yeah, it's worth thinking about more.
Yeah.
Imagine how much trouble you'd be in if there was a great white shark in a dunk take at the county fair. You'd be, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that would.
You know what? Shot. I don't think I'd throw the ball at the target.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
What if Epstein was sitting on that little... Well, then he's dead.
Then I'd throw
it.
Yeah.
Maybe I would because I'd just assume like they knew like something I didn't know.
What do you mean? They put that person up there for a reason?
Like I would assume that like they didn't think the person would get killed by the shark. So I'd throw it at the target and then he'd get eaten.
I wonder if you could request that's your method of execution you want to die by if they'd honor that. Because like, you know, sometimes you can be like, I want firing squad.
Yeah.
But like 20 people throw the ball at once so no one knows who killed them.
Yeah.
They famously don't do well in captivity. So you have to have like a pretty fresh shark in there or else it wouldn't probably bite you even.
They got Ace Ventura.
That's true. He just wanted to go to the bathroom. Or no, someone else wanted to go to the bathroom, right? I can't remember.
He was
what
spying.
happened.
He said he was going to the bathroom.
That's right.
Right. And he's like, do not go in there.
All right. So the Discoverer had lowered a cargo net into the water, and they also launched a Zodiac skiff to provide support to any of the swimmers in the water that might get tired or for whatever reason need their support. They also had people up on the deck watching the swimmers. And I think that's mostly just because ocean currents and waves can be really unpredictable. And even though the water was pretty calm on March 23rd, 1994, they really didn't want to take any chances. So as Heather Boswell jumped into the warm water of the South Pacific with her shipmates, she feels immediately refreshed and totally alive. And I know that feeling, like jumping off a boat into a big body of water on a hot day. It really hits like nothing else. Like that is a top 10 sensation, I think. And her and her newfound friends are really just like splashing and yelling and having a great time as they swim around the ship. And they're shadowed by these people in the skiff and up on the deck. And they spend about an hour in the water total. So they're in the water for quite a while. You don't think that's a top 10 sensation, Jeff?
I'm just thinking
cold water
top
on a
10
hot day?
sensations now, you know?
We have this little, I've talked about it before, but
I
we have a
like it,
little
though.
swimming hole in the creek near us. And on like a 90-degree day here, walking over and jumping in that little swimming hole is like maybe my favorite thing to do all year long.
You know what made it seem like it would get top 10, but then wasn't any different? Those advertisements for 5 gum. Just those whole commercials, there's all these like sensory things and like blue colors and stuff, you know?
That's true. It's just normal gum.
But then you just eat it and it's like, what?
Yeah. As the 15-foot great white neared the splashing, the sensitive lateral line running down the length of her body helped her to more fully pick up the vibrations and understand that they were unique and interesting. She's now only a few meters away from the splashes, and almost all of her senses are firing. Smell, sound, sight are all sending the exact same message, that there's something struggling on the surface and that it might be food. But she really only has one way to know for certain if this is actually worthwhile food, and her mouth opens as she approaches the closest of the crew of the Discoverer swimming in the water.
It's gotta be a top 10 sensation for sharks.
Mouthing something new?
Just sensing food on the splashing.
Yeah, it probably is. Probably number
Maybe
one.
number one?
Or probably number 2.
Mating is up there, I bet.
Yeah.
Orgasm.
We don't know. We have no idea.
We don't, but we
It'd
can
be really
guess.
painful.
Yeah, that's true. So these 9 swimmers had been swimming for quite a while, and one of the people up on the deck that was watching them had a camcorder, which he had already turned off. He had kind of filmed some of their just roughhousing and whatnot. But then suddenly someone on the deck is yelling and screaming "shark" and pointing toward the water near the swimmers. The swimmers and the safety team kind of laugh nervously, thinking it has to be a prank. And then the person yells, "No, I'm serious. There's a shark." And as these people are pointing toward the water, this crew member turns on the camcorder, points it out towards the swimmers, and presses record.
Oh, wow.
So there's a video of this shark bite, and I want to play it for you guys. It's probably the most famous video ever captured of a shark bite. And really up until the death of Simon Nellist a few years ago, this is probably the only time a white shark bite had been captured on video. So I'm going to play it quickly. Our audio audience is going to be able to hear it. Our video audience will be able to see it. That's how that works. And after we play it, I'm going to break down exactly what happened in the water. So we're going to play it first, and then we're going to go through what happened. And I'll warn you guys, there's a little bit of graphic language, and then obviously a little bit of graphic imagery in this. Nothing too insane, though, as far as the imagery goes. The F word comes up a couple times, though, so just be ready for that. Yep, the F word. One other thing. I could not find the original video anywhere. I searched NOAA archives. I thought about doing like a FOIA request for it. I could not find it. So every single one of them I found had some sort of narration and music overlay on it. This one was the best one. It's the least offensive and it plays the most of the video. I think it's probably from the 90s. So here you go.
To a different kind of predator. 7 miles off the coast of Chile, Oceanic research students enjoy a dip in the ocean to cool off. Unfortunately, they weren't alone.
Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Everybody out here. Everybody out of here now. That fucking hand cut his leg off. It took her leg off. It took it off. It's gone.
All right, so that's the video. It is one I've probably seen 100 times. This was on a lot of like animal attack shows back in the 90s, early 2000s. It's very famous because even though the camera person kind of loses drops the camera during the most intense part of this.
He's no Spielberg.
You do see a large great white shark bite Heather, and you see blood in the water, and it's pretty nuts. All right, so we're going to go through what actually happened. So what a lot of people don't know is that Phil Buffington was actually one of the swimmers in the water. He had been treading water near the whole group with his girlfriend when the massive shark materialized out of nowhere and bites into both of his legs with a single bite. And this bite was so quick and initially painless that Phil was just kind of in a bit of a daze before he starts yelling shark along with the people up on the deck. And the shark swims away from him, I think because of all the commotion and the fact that there's other people right around him. And at this point, the panicked swimmers start swimming toward the cargo net that's dangling in the water, and the 3 people on the Zodiac are pushing in closer to try and help pull people out of the water. You also can hear the boat horn like firing because they're trying to just get everyone out as quickly as possible. 19-year-old Heather Boswell had been swimming a bit separated from the rest of the group and was about 25 feet or around 8 meters away from the nearest swimmer when the shark turned toward her and focused in on the only isolated target. Heather immediately understood that she was most likely about to be bitten by the shark, and she had this certainty of this realization, and it gave her actually a strange sense of calm. And you see her in the video flip over onto her back, and she's kind of doing this calm backstroke toward the ship when the shark gently bites into her right ankle and lower leg on her right side, pulls her beneath the water while shaking her back and forth. And I say gently because that's how she described the bite. She said it was gentle, kind of like a puppy mouthing you with its teeth. And from what we've learned about great white sharks on our show is that's exactly what they do on these exploratory bites. They don't have hands. They don't have something that they can reach out and touch and decide, oh, is this food? Whatever. They actually do that with their mouth. So that's what this first bite is. It's probably what the first bite on Phil was too. And I'm guessing the first bite on Heather was that too. Just the shark kind of deciding, is this worth eating? But for us, that can be devastating. And horrified friends are watching from all angles as Heather's blood starts spreading through the water as she desperately tries to swim away from the shark. In the video, the white shark then releases her leg. That's the part that you actually see the shark like in the water biting her, and it bites her right leg and then releases it. That's when the camera drops. And what we don't see is her swim frantically toward the Zodiac while the crew is holding out a wooden pole for her to grab onto. But as she grabs onto this pole, the shark bites into her left leg, once again pulling her under the water. 2 of the crewmates on the Zodiac reach down, grab her under the arms. The third is hitting the shark with the pole, and they have this brief moment of a tug-of-war with a 15-foot great white shark. And then Heather feels a pop in her leg. Suddenly, the people on the Zodiac say she was incredibly light and easy to pull out of the water and into the boat. And that was because the shark had bitten her left leg completely off at the lower thigh. She's in shock as she looks down in the Zodiac and sees that her left leg is completely gone.
The best part of life may very well be what goes on in the bedroom. And at some point, you gotta stop blaming stress, sleep, or just getting older. If bedroom performance is in question, it's probably crossed your mind to do something about it. The good news, you don't have to jump through hoops to fix it. So lions, if you're listening, jumping through all those circus hoops, you can stop. HIMSS connects you with licensed healthcare providers online, giving you simple access to legitimate ED treatment options from home, no awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines. Also, it includes Cytofil, also known as generic for Viagra, available through HIMSS at 95% less than the brand name version. So no awkward doctor visits, and it's cheaper. Just complete a simple online intake and a provider will review your information to determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your door in discreet packaging. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/tooth. That's hims.com/tooth for your free online visit. hims.com/tooth. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Cytofil is a generic version of Viagra. Viagra is registered trademark of Viatris Specialty LLC. HIMSS is not affiliated with or endorsed by Viatris.
The shark is probably now convinced that this is a feeding opportunity. I think the second bite on Heather was it actually trying to get some food. It turns and heads towards the swimmers that are scrambling up the ladder. But on the deck, it just so happened that one of the crewmen had checked out their pistol that day and was going to do some target practice. And he had this pistol and he starts firing it at the shark. And it is enough to deter it away. And then it's kind of swimming right alongside the ship. And he runs alongside and starts firing more rounds at the shark. Hits it. And they think he killed it because it actually flips over and sinks. Which is a pretty good hint that he killed the shark. Yeah.
Wouldn't it float, though?
No, it would probably sink. Yeah.
So would that be in the brain? Where would the bullet have to hit?
I think he hit it on the
kill
head.
A shark like that?
Yeah, probably in the head. Yeah, who knows? And I think it's unfortunate, actually, that happened because they had pretty much everyone out of the water at this point, and it's not like the shark's ever going to see another person.
I feel like if it floated, they could have maybe got her leg.
I did have that thought too. Like if the shark had been on top of the water, they might have been able to retrieve her leg. Yeah.
Yeah, just sew it on real quick.
So meanwhile, both Heather and Phil are pulled aboard the ship. They're taken to the med bay for emergency care. Phil had a lot of puncture wounds and cuts on both legs. He would ultimately require 50 stitches on his wounds, but Heather's in much worse shape. The ship had pretty extensive medical equipment and professionals on board, so they immediately start working on Heather. They do a tourniquet above the stump of her leg to stem the bleeding. And her really big lucky break is that her femoral artery had been severed, but I think this has happened in some of our other stories. Either the shark closed it when it bit, or it kind of snapped back and closed itself, but it did close, and she wasn't losing blood out of her femoral artery. And had she been, she almost certainly would have died. But the majority of her bleeding was from other veins and vessels, and her blood loss had been extensive, but it wasn't enough to kill her yet. Her blood pressure was really low, though, and her heartbeat was slow and thready. So one of the first things they had to do was just start an IV and put a lot of fluid into her system to try and keep her blood pressure up. And they're pumping.
Why is that, Wes? I told you earlier.
Yeah, if your blood falls out of your leg, then you die.
Because your heart needs blood.
It needs blood and needs blood pressure.
Part.
Yeah. But they were putting so much fluid into her blood that was just the point of that was to keep her blood pressure up, that toward the end of this ordeal, her blood platelet, her red blood count was so low that it was a third of what it should be, because her blood was mostly just this IV fluid that they were putting into her.
But she's a third of what she was, too.
No, I think she's probably 5/6 of what I don't know. I don't know how much your left leg is of your total
How
mass.
much blood?
So she's 5.
Yeah. No, you're right, Jeff. A third seems like too much to survive through.
The thing I've learned is that obviously red blood cells and white blood cells are really important for carrying oxygen and nutrients and whatnot through your body. But in a trauma situation like this, the main thing is keeping your blood pressure up, because otherwise your heart fails and you go into cardiac arrest. So like they mostly just needed fluid in there to keep the pressure up. And then later you can worry about it actually being blood, because they're able to give her oxygen and stuff. So they aren't too worried about oxygen transport and whatnot. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It still just seems like bad.
Yeah. And it is. Like, you can't do that for very long, but it is a good way to keep someone alive in a situation like this. They're also doing the best to keep her calm, because she is going through some like big mental struggles too. And the crazy part about all this is that they had to get the ship all the way back to Easter Island in order to get her to real help. And that's a 20-hour journey.
Oh, wow.
So they just had to keep her stable during that 20 hours, like manage her fluids, her blood pressure, her pain, her mental state. She was really starting to like think about all the things that were going to change in her life. And it was really important that she keep fighting, because she had this long journey ahead of her. And Phil. We shouldn't leave Phil out of this.
Right.
And they're also worried about the tourniquet killing important tissue on her stump, because you need a stump to have a good prosthetic. Like if you lose your leg, like right at the place where it joins your body, it's hard to have a prosthetic. But if you have a decent stump, there's a lot more that you can do. So they really didn't want her to lose her stump. So what they would do is they would take the tourniquet off for a little bit, let blood like push back into her stump, and then they'd reapply the tourniquet. And they just had to keep doing that, over and over and over again. And I think someone told us once that you shouldn't do that, but maybe on like a 20-hour journey, it was worth it. And this was a doctor that was working on her.
I wonder how close to dying she was, though.
Yeah, they think that
that's
she
like
lost
letting out a lot of blood to do that.
Well, they would stop it before it would like start to ooze out of the end again.
Okay.
But yeah, who knows? At one point, they turn her onto her side and she almost goes into cardiac arrest, which just goes to show you that she's really just holding on by a thread this entire journey to Easter Island. When they get closer to Easter Island, a medvac team arrives on the ship, and this team takes over her care. At the island, they keep her on the ship until they're absolutely ready to transfer to the aircraft. Both she and Phil are flown to the hospital in Panama, where they finally receive full medical care to try and clean and stabilize their wounds. And Heather's family was actually waiting for her there in Panama.
Oh, wow.
And I wanted to read a quote from one of the medics that worked on her leg in Panama. He said, "When we got the bandages off, there was about 2.5 to 3 inches of her femur sticking out that was prominent. The rest of it was just like ground hamburger meat in a fish mouth type of configuration." So just picture that, a fish mouth type of configuration.
It's going to be hard for her to straddle any more coastlines.
If there's a stump and a prosthetic, no. They could give her an even bigger leg and that'll be easier.
That's true. Or like one that is like real grippy,
Yeah,
for
right.
straddling. After a few days in Panama, she's transferred to a hospital in her hometown of Seattle. And one little footnote is just about every article or video that I read or watched made no mention of Phil. And it kind of sucks to get both legs chomped by a great white, get 50 stitches, and still be a footnote. Like, that kind of blows. Yeah. But
real Togo Balto situation.
Yeah, that is a Togo Balto situation. It's a good point. So a tricky thing about Heather's injury was that the exposed femur was really valuable for a prosthetic, but it was just this chunk of bone sticking out, and she needed to have tissue and skin over that bone in order to use it. So what doctors did is they put her stump in this torsion device for like 15 to 20 hours a day that basically pulled on her skin and stretched it out so it could finally be pulled over the end of this femur stub.
Jeez.
Mike, you have a device that you use to stretch something out, right?
I was going to say, it's a good thing they didn't put her testicles in the torsion device.
She doesn't have testicles.
What?
That would hurt. I had no idea they could do this, that they could just like over a matter of days or whatever. I don't know how long she was in this device, but they could stretch your skin that much.
Can you just say how long she was?
I said how many hours per day, but I don't know how many days total. But yeah, so anyway, that's something they
could
can do.
still be going on now, you think?
Yeah, it still might be happening.
I would keep it going till I was like 12 feet tall.
Wemby.
Yeah. It would just be skin, though. You'd have to like fold the skin up into long legs.
They'd be like, now just tell us when you're back to like your original length. And you'd be like, no, I was a little longer before. They're like, really? You're 12 feet tall. I don't know.
So it's actually one of the sources I used was this show from like the very early 2000s called Did You See That? Which is a great name for a show. Yes, I just watched it on your show. But I think this clip is going to be helpful to explain what this looked like. And it's kind of an interesting animation from this time. So I'm going to share this clip too.
I mean, I guess it makes sense in that, like, you see it with people that have extreme weight loss, like people who get up to 600 pounds and then get down to 200.
Yeah.
They have like a lot of excess skin that had stretched out.
Yeah. And they just had to force the skin to stretch a few inches, I think, in pretty minimal time. So this kind of shows how that happened.
Dr. Smith wanted to close the wound as soon as possible, but the nature of the amputation caused a problem. When Heather was attacked by the shark, it tore through the flesh of her left leg at mid-thigh. As she struggled to pull away, it bit all the way through her femur, leaving the bone sticking out a little beyond the muscle and skin. With the wound still exposed, Heather's skin was pulled and stretched until it could be sewn together over the end of her femur.
She was in an awful lot of pain, especially undergoing those surgeries. Almost constantly in pain.
All right. So pretty crazy. Something I didn't know that was possible before we did this story. But like her dad said, incredibly painful. She's released from the hospital after 3 weeks. She's confined to a wheelchair. And once she's fully healed and her stump was strong enough, she is fitted with a prosthetic leg, and she immediately starts the process of relearning how to walk with this prosthetic leg. I assume Heather Boswell is still around. She was only 19 in 1994. I couldn't find anything recent from her, though. I think the last like shark attack show I saw her on was like 2017. So I figure she might just be done being in the public eye. It's totally understandable. So because of that, I didn't really dig into like what she's up to these days. All right. Man. Pretty crazy story.
The skin stretching, I mean, I just didn't think about that quite properly until I saw the little animation. That would be awful.
Yeah.
That'd be absolutely terrible. And like however many hours for however many days, that just seems like shivers down the spine.
Getting your leg bit off too.
Yeah. Both of
that
those
part sounded bad.
Don't sound great. Yeah. The 20 hours in the boat before you get to like real intensive care is pretty insane too. All right. I did want to talk quickly about the motivations of this shark. It's impossible to say for sure, but kind of from what we've learned about great whites, what I've learned doing a few episodes about them. One kind of, I don't want to call it a myth, but a common thought for people with great white shark attacks is that it's mistaken identity. And we've talked about this a bit, where they think that something might be a seal or whatever. And once they realize it isn't, they stop attacking. And I really don't think that could be the case here. This is clear water. The shark, I think we need to give sharks more credit than that. You know, that they know that this thing that they're approaching isn't their typical prey that they've already seen like 1,000 times in their lives. So I don't really buy the mistaken identity thing that often. I think maybe in really murky or low light water or whatever, it's a possibility. But what I think the shark was doing was investigating. It just decided, you know, this might be food. I'm going to check it out. Maybe the first bite on Phil, it still didn't know. The second bite on Heather, it still didn't know. And then when it got into something like a little bit more meaty, like the upper thigh, it was like, you know what? This actually is going to work. Because great whites really need like fat, dense, like meaty blubbery kind of food. And I'm not saying that like Heather's thigh was blubbery, but I'm saying it probably felt a little bit closer to food than like an ankle or a lower leg, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why generally when people say, oh, like a shark was trying to eat them, if a great white shark is trying to eat you and it's already decided that, do you guys remember in Australia when we saw the shark actually really go for the bait that they were trying to bring it in with? What did that look like?
It went hard, like
Powerful.
jumping out of the water.
Yeah. It was fast and hard. Exactly. It wasn't slow and methodical. It was like fully committed. And if that's how they were attacking people, we would have a lot more fatalities.
Cankles.
They would. What do you mean?
Well, you're saying you wouldn't want to bite an ankle because it's too bony, but cankles, maybe they would.
Yeah, cankles they might be a little bit more into. They might bite off your legs with that bite then. Yeah. But every once in a while you see an attack where it does seem like fully predatory. I brought him up already, but Simon Nellist, who died a few years ago in Australia, there's a video of his as well, and it's explosive. It's not like a slow kind of bite and then the shark comes back in. There's a lot of splashing. It just seems like a shark that decided it was going to eat someone. We talked about a woman in Australia, I think in the 80s, that was like bitten in half by a great white, and that's a shark that's probably predatory. So I don't think this shark...
It kind of feels like, too, like those two people, obviously I still think they should have done it, but those two people trying to help her into the raft, like provided resistance against the shark and what it was doing and made it have to like bite harder into her to keep a hold of her and keep investigating, you know?
Yeah, you might be right. And I had that same thought. And I also agree with you that they still did the right thing because it might have already decided at that point that it was going to try and eat her. And had they not pulled her out of the water, it might have killed her.
Or maybe it investigates her head next, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You never know. But I do think that was the motivation of the shark. I think initially it was investigating. And I think by the time it took her leg, it was probably in full predator mode. And the other reason I think that is because after it left her, it still went to check out more swimmers. So I think it was really considering feeding at that point. There's a lot of things I look forward to about spring and summer, and one of them is definitely barbecuing. It's just not that fun to do during the winter, but as the days get warmer and longer, I just really like being outside around the barbecue. And when I barbecue, I really like to use ButcherBox. And that's because they deliver whole, responsibly sourced protein options with no antibiotics, no added hormones, no additives. It's just clean fuel that makes feeling lighter, sharper, and more energized a lot easier. ButcherBox delivers over 100 premium protein options straight to your door, including 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, crate-free pork, and wild-caught seafood. It's all responsibly raised and thoughtfully sourced, so you're not guessing about what's on your plate. And I think that's more and more important, not just for animal welfare, but also for your own health. And for over a decade, ButcherBox has led the industry with meat and seafood that's antibiotic-free, hormone-free, and independently verified. Because when it comes to fueling your body, quality isn't extra, it's everything. Clean, whole protein means better support for strength, metabolism, and all that steady, all-day energy we're all chasing. And as an exclusive offer, new listeners can get their choice between chicken breast or top sirloin for a year, or ground beef for life, plus $20 off when you go to butcherbox.com/tooth. That's right, your choice of chicken breast or top sirloin for a year, or ground beef for life, plus $20 off your first box, and free shipping always. That's butcherbox.com/tooth, and don't forget to use our link so they know that we sent you. I've shared a lot on this show. I'm very open on the show. You guys have heard about some of the most embarrassing parts of my life, but off the air, I really do value my privacy. We live in a rural place. We have a lot of space, but it's really important to me that I have some privacy. And that's why I want to tell you guys about 3 Day Blinds. They're the leading manufacturer of high quality custom window treatments in the US. And right now, if you use our URL, 3dayblinds.com/tooth, they're running a buy one, get one 50% off deal. And for me, I think blinds have always been something that I kind of just overlooked until we bought our own place. And then I really noticed that the blinds that were already in our house were really ugly. They were loud. They collected dust really easily. And so I was checking out 3 Day Blinds Instagram, and I noticed they have some really good looking blinds. And they can really pull a room together. They can make your house look a lot more modern or a lot more classic, however you want it to look. And you can choose from thousands of options on their site that fit any budget or style. Plus, you can look for light filtering or blackout blinds and smart blinds that work with Alexa. It's a real upgrade to your home, not just a replacement. Right now, get quality window treatments that fit your budget with 3 Day Blinds. Head to 3dayblinds.com/tooth for their buy one, get one 50% off deal on custom blinds, shades, shutters, and drapery. For a free, no charge, no obligation consultation, just head to 3dayblinds.com/tooth. One last time, that's buy one, get one 50% off when you head to the number 3, DAY, blinds.com/tooth. All right. You guys have anything you want to add? Any questions?
Do you think the the shark in Jaws was a female shark then? Because they get all big?
I do.
So Bruce is kind of a weird name.
Bad name for that shark. Yep. Yeah. All right. I want to do ouchies for this story. There's no sand in it, Jeff.
No sand.
Sand free. Just keep that in mind.
Huh. Yeah.
She didn't die.
Maybe got seasick a little bit, though.
Yeah, got a little rumbly, tumbly.
Could have been seasick. Yeah, when someone asked her if she'd ever go out to sea again, and she brought up like 30-foot swells is one of the reasons she wouldn't. So
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8.
8 out of 10.
I think there's a little bit more room for more pain, but I think it's pretty bad.
Yeah. And she actually didn't feel any pain in the bite. Like once they pulled her onto the boat and everything, she wasn't feeling any pain. It was only once she was in the med bay that it really started to kick in. And then they had morphine for her.
The crazy thing I've said it before, but with like losing a limb is like the phantom pain where like you're missing your entire foot and it will still like tickle at night or whatever.
Yeah.
I've heard breaking your femur is the worst kind of break you can experience. I wonder how it's somewhat comparable. I guess it is just in a technical aspect, like it is a broken femur.
Did break it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and like
all
a
the
bad
way
way to break it, yeah.
Yeah, so I might go with a 9 with like all the post-attack recovery stuff and then that 20-hour ride. It just seems like about as bad as things can get as far as recover. Well, not as bad as things can get, possibly, but pretty close to as bad as things could get. I'll go with a 9. Yeah, I don't feel bad about that.
I think I'm going with a 9 as well. I think the torsion machine, like having to learn how to walk again, all the mental anguish, like being a 19-year-old and losing your left leg has to just be so devastating. And I know she was talking to one of her friends saying like, I don't know if anyone's ever going to like me again. I'll never be able to dance again. All those kind of things were running through her head. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. I think
She
like
could do
short
the
of
worm.
You could do the worm. Well, yeah, you probably could do the worm. That's true. It's a good point. That's what her friend should have said immediately. All right. Okay.
Wait, what's the guy's name?
Phil.
I'll give Phil a 10 because he got both legs bit.
Both legs bit and just was like a footnote forever.
And no one cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pain. That's true pain.
All right. I'm going to give Phil a 6. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with no further ado, then, we're going to go ahead and get into our categories. So the first category I had for you guys, because this happened in 1994, I want to hear your favorite movie from the year 1994.
Was this the year Forrest Gump won the Oscar for Best Picture? Was that the next year?
Is it? I don't know.
It's this year. There's so many good movies for this year.
Yeah, Schindler's List won for the movies that came out in 93.
No,
That's
there's
right.
like, I was looking it up. There's like posts about how Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump, and Jurassic Park were in theaters at the same time.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. But Jurassic Park came out in 93, so we're not counting that in this discussion.
I I have a few to shout out, but
Do it.
my favorite, I would have to just go with Shawshank Redemption.
Great movie.
Like it's a top 5 movie all time for me. I love just like the idea of someone who's in prison for life, but then spoilers, but then he's actually not guilty, and then he's able to still find a way out of it. Is just so cool to me.
Yeah.
It's great.
And he gets to have a good time in prison first too, you know?
He
gets
makes
to have
his best friend ever.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's romance. There's all sorts
A
of
little
stuff.
bit of romance.
That's a good pick.
I don't know. This is such a long list of incredible. I mean, Chungking Express is probably my favorite. The Wong Kar-wai, Three Colors by Kieslowski, the blue, white, and red. Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité. Check it out. It's good. The Crow. How about The Crow?
My pick, I actually zagged a little on this and decided to go with my favorite movie when I was like, 10 and 11 that came out in 1994, and it was Dumb and Dumber by like a long
No, it's
shot.
a great pick.
Yeah. I don't think I ever laughed harder than when I saw that movie in theaters with my friend Adam Swartley.
Probably a top 5 comedy for me. I love it.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think that's when
my real pick.
Jim Carrey came out with Dumb and Dumber and The Mask in 94.
Yeah. There's a
I
big
think
year
Ace
for him.
Ventura too, right?
I don't
If not,
know
it was just like very slightly before.
Yeah. I think it's peak.
Because all
peak
3
Jim
movies and he
Carrey.
got paid like $1 billion.
Peak Fairley Brothers.
I think if I had to pick like Desert Island type thing, and I can pick all the movies for 1 year, I think 94 is in the running for what I would pick. There's like 3 in my top 20, which is Shawshank, Speed, and then Lion King. I love Pulp Fiction. There's Legends of the Fall.
Great
and then
movie.
there's like some lesser movies that I really love too, just like not as big, but I love the movie Above the Rim. I think it might have my favorite soundtrack of any movie. And then like Tupac's just so good in it, and the plot is so ridiculous, but it's like fun, you know? And then Drunken Master 2 is one of Jackie Chan's best like older
It's a great
movies.
year for movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's like a 5-year stretch from like 93 to 98, maybe even 99, where like a lot of my all-time favorites are from that stretch.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
It's just
next
crazy
category.
people were just like going to the movie and seeing Forrest Gump and Pulp Fiction and like ignoring Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Bringing back an old category because of another movie that came out in 1994. The movie Speed came out in 1994. So let's pretend that this animal is the bus from Speed. Are we surviving?
Oh, man. How did we ever get rid of this one?
This
think we
animal is the
die.
bus from Speed. We don't die
It can't get to 60,
because the bomb never triggers at 55. Yeah.
or it can't get to 55 miles an hour.
Great white sharks top out at about 35 miles per hour underwater. And that's when they're launching like a sneak attack. So we do not blow up if this animal is the bus from Speed and we're aboard it. Yeah.
That's really
So
interesting.
Michael Phelps could outswim a great white.
No. He swims at what, like
8?
18 miles per hour or something? Yeah, not even that.
No,
Yeah.
not even.
Yeah, you're right. It's like 5 or
it's
6,
real
I
slow.
think. Yeah. All right. There is a species of shark that we would blow up with. Do you guys know what species that is? If we're the
I
bus from
guess
Speed?
a thresher.
Mako?
It's a mako,
Oh,
short fin
mako, yeah.
mako. Yeah.
Good call, Mike.
I'm curious, and I asked Jesse this question too. What reward would you have to get to wake up with no left leg tomorrow? And we'll say that you have a stump, but you have no left leg. What would you have to get?
Dude, I think it'd be so freaking sweet to not just get a right leg prosthetic on your left leg, so then you have 2 right feet and you're like the most coordinated person in the world. Think about that. You could be a professional soccer player. I'd give up like my left arm, I'd give that one. My left eye is a little worse.
So you would like trade something to be missing your left leg?
Right. Yeah, I'd pay money.
You'd have a good excuse for the rest of your life. Like if you didn't want to do something.
Dude. Having good excuses to get out of stuff, there's like that's a top 10 sensation in the world, right?
That is true.
My gosh.
The
Bailing on
soccer
something.
one's interesting. Like if you just had a huge fake prosthetic leg and you could like put the entire ball in your leg and then just like shoot it like a cannon at the goal.
Like Planet Terror, where she has a machine gun as a leg.
That'd be good.
That's
in
true.
the
But see,
MLS,
that's why I'd want like $1 billion so that I could do all that stuff too.
Yeah. I think my honest number is like $20 million. I think if someone came to me tomorrow and said, I'll give you 20 million, but you're not going to have a left leg, I would think
Where do they
about
cut it off?
like mid-thigh.
Mid-thigh?
And you don't have any pain.
Yeah, to me it's like all about value. It's not, there's not too much like material things I would do for it.
Yeah. Maybe this is an insensitive
like
question.
a huge house, it's like you still got to pay the bills for it and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd do it if I got first class flights for free everywhere I go for the rest of my life.
Oh,
How about that?
okay. First class or business class? Just the nicest, like the nicest seat on the plane.
Yeah, that's the one, the pilot seat.
Somehow I misread what you gave us though.
Uh-huh.
And I just read, would you trade for waking up for like a left leg tomorrow?
Uh-huh.
So I was thinking like, what would I give up that I have to be able to keep both my legs?
Oh, that's a better.
So
yeah.
I answered it that I would give Shank's other front leg up too, so he has no front legs. He just got to scoot with his back legs. It's like
you could get a little chair.
The most I would give up. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'd give up just about everything I own to not lose my left leg.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not too attached to it, except for in a literal sense.
Would you give up the podcast?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me?
Probably, yeah.
In a heartbeat.
I don't think I would.
Huh.
I would.
Wow,
dude.
you're
That's like the one
devoted.
thing I would.
Mike would do that to like not get hit in the left leg hard. I got a couple just quick. It came from Quora's. One question I found, mostly just these are questions, not so much responses. If a shark had human teeth, could it bite someone's leg off just as easily? What happens to a human leg when it is bitten off by a shark? Why are great white sharks considered dangerous? And there's an answer to that one. And this guy says, I watched a great white bite a guy in half when I was just a little kid. Jump ahead 23 or so years when I was in the Navy and watched through the ship's big eyes binoculars as a great white took off a surfer's leg, killing him. Don't believe me? Go to YouTube, in quotation marks, where there are at least 3 videos documenting a particularly nasty attack on a young woman enjoying a swim party at sea. Heather Boswell. The short answer is they are considered dangerous, in quotations, because they are dangerous. Funny how that works out. So this guy's seen 2 people get killed by great white sharks. Yeah. I believe him 100%. Okay. New category I came up with.
Look at that YouTube link.
Yeah. There wasn't a link, but there's only at least 3 videos of this.
He just said YouTube?
He said YouTube in quotation marks. Go to YouTube. All right. New category that I came up with. I want you to rate the top song that came out on the date that this incident took place. And the top song on March 23rd, 1994 was Ace of Base, The Sign.
Oh, that's a 10 out of 10. That was almost on my
I agree.
That was almost on my 16 favorite songs list.
Yeah, me too. I think it is on mine. Yeah.
It should be. That's a 10
Jeff,
out of 10.
do you know the song? I saw the sign and opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. You know that song.
Yeah.
That's a 10.
I'll give it 5.
5 out of 10. Bad. Perfect song.
It's incredible.
It was also the first song in my life that I felt like I found it before my friends did. And so I was like very proud of it.
Mike, you just won the argument though about 5 being completely neutral because Wes just said bad when I said 5.
Yeah, because it's not a neutral song. It's a bad choice is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's a bad rating. Well, it is a bad rating for this because this should be a positively held song.
He was saying I rated it as a bad song, and I was just rating it neutral.
No, I'm saying that neutral is a bad rating for this particular song.
Right, because it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that though, Jeff.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Because Wes is ultimately still wrong in that argument.
I'm not wrong in that argument. 5 is neutral, 5 is 0. That's the baseline. But it depends on how you're talking about it. Okay, another new category I came up with for this one. How hot is this animal? How hot do you guys think great white sharks are?
Very. I think they're physically fit. They are very confident and skilled at what they do, which is an attractive trait, I would say.
Yeah.
Great set of
Confidence is
teeth.
attractive. Beautiful teeth.
Good teeth.
Yeah. Okay.
A little dangerous. I don't know. I like a little streak of danger in a girl.
Yeah.
One that could beat me up in a fight. I've said that before. I kind of like that.
I also agree. I think this is one of the hotter animals out there. Sleek, beautiful, confident, perfect little color pattern. One of the animals that when I saw in real life, I was like most taken aback by how beautiful it was. It's a hot animal.
Me too.
I don't think they're one of the hottest animals. I put that they're similar to Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dolph Lundgren, and like that guy from the Green Mile, the big
Dolph Lundgren?
What's
Oh,
the
Dolph
guy?
Lundgren?
Dolph
Lundgren.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounded like a Sith Lord.
The big, huge guy from like Dodgeball and Green Mile and stuff.
Michael Clark Duncan?
It's just like someone's so big and strong looking that like you have to stare at them, and it's like they're not like bad to look at, but I also don't think they're like, cover people's hottest man alive type of thing material.
Okay. I feel like they're so like sleek and sexy though too.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think a tiger shark's hotter than a great white.
Huh.
Really?
Interesting. Yeah, I think a great white's hotter for sure. I think they're the hottest shark, personally.
I think you might be right.
Yeah. Mako, a short fin Mako's up there, but their teeth they lose some points with those teeth that jut out. Blue sharks are pretty hot.
I just don't think. I think you have to have some handsome in you too, and I don't think that they have any handsome in them. I think they're just like physically overpowering.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Huh. It's not what I expected, but that's why.
I'm not saying they're ugly. You think Arnold Schwarzenegger's ugly?
That's what
No,
you're
but I
saying,
don't.
it sounds like.
I think that he is like a rough looking person, and I don't think sharks look like rough and tumble. I think they look like
You don't
sleek
think
and
great
beautiful.
white looks rough?
No.
Not really. No.
I think it looks
These
like
are all crazy and shit.
really sleek. I think it looks like fluid.
When I think of a rough animal, I'm thinking of like a warthog. Those look
Yeah.
rough. Like if I
Like
touch
the-
it, that's a rough sensation. Bottom 10
Yeah.
sensation.
Maybe they're like one of those people where they're like really hot, but then have just like a really ugly smile.
Yeah.
You know, like when they open their mouths, they look like way scary and like,
Yeah. I like Arnold for me is like a rhinoceros or like a Cape buffalo. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No,
for me, this
he's
is
too
like
handsome for that.
This is maybe if I had to do like a big buff guy, it'd be like that Alan, what's his face, or Henry Cavill.
Richardson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reacher. Like they're both very
That's a good
handsome,
great white,
but they're
yeah.
also like big and strong.
Jason Momoa.
I'm getting worked up talking about how hot these animals are. I want to hear a spring gripe from you guys. Something that I think spring is generally considered one of the better seasons. But what's something you don't like about spring? I'll go first. Those cum trees. I know we talk about them sometimes.
It's a Utah
I
specialty.
hate the smell of, I think they're called Bradford pears. I like hate that smell.
No,
I think it smells disgusting. It's
bad.
Cum trees
Calorie
are something I don't like about spring.
Pears. It's not calorie. It's the one that Max named his Instagram and his
They're
band
Bradford
after.
pears, but I'm not sure.
Calorie pears.
Oh yeah, okay. It's also known as the Bradford pear.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're both right. Look at
yeah,
that.
that's fine.
For me, it's like once it starts getting hot, I really get the itch to go fly fishing. And then it happens to be when like all the rivers are flooded, so the fishing's like at its worst, and it's like frustrating to me that I can't fly fish well yet.
That is annoying.
For me, baseball season starts and there's always that glimmer of optimism that your favorite team is going to do well.
Padres
so
won
it's kind
9
of
straight.
They're doing great, but it's a retroactive bad thing about spring because by the end of the year the Dodgers will win and it'll just be like, sweet. There was like a 2-minute window there where there's some hope. But
Pirates are doing good too.
Good for them. Right. Shout out Pirates. Got to go to that ballpark. It's on my list.
Rather than do listener questions, we're going to do some nice advice would suffice. Jeff asked our listeners to give us some advice, or no, for us to give them some advice. So Jeff, what do you got for us?
Okay, from Beth ESKX, going to have my 3rd daughter next week. We have no idea what to call her, so open to suggestions.
Penelope.
Ooh. Junebug. First name June, middle name Bug.
I like Junebug.
What's your name, Jeff?
Let's go with the first girl I dated, Mi-young-hee.
Mi-young-hee. Loved
That's a good name.
Yeah. Hopefully she's Korean. But, we should be able to name whoever Korean names.
Should we?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Would be very confusing.
I'm not ready to co-sign
that might
on
be
that
appropriation, huh? Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Brianna Cooney says, how to get over an ex who initiated the breakup but also won't leave you alone now.
Restraining order.
Just block them.
Gotta beat them to it.
I think
it's hard because
more willing to use the block button on social medias. Just block them.
I think the problem is a lot of times when you were broken up with, you still want to be with the person. So like when they message you, it's really hard not to respond.
Yeah.
My method was to just torch it all down, go crazy. It worked for me.
Like really just lose the thread and yeah.
All right, I'm going to make it so you don't want to talk to me anymore.
That is a good method. You were pretty good at that for a while.
Especially just one time.
Yeah, so try that out.
All right. So I had to ask for more detail here, and I'm going to actually leave the name out. But it starts out, I found out my mom almost or did bone my 18-year-old crush when I was 16.
Wow.
So let me start from the beginning. So when I was 16, I had a crush on a boy who was 18 or 19. Let's call him Ty. And I know he liked me too because he would text me every day, compliment me, etc. Our parents were friends, so we would always hang out and be at his house. But for whatever reason, he wouldn't settle down with me. In like 2021, Ty's old friend ended up working with my husband at the time. Let's call him Dan. Dan told my husband, Ty had sex with blank's mom, but you can't tell anyone.
Imagine not telling anyone that.
Let's say I'm going to change her name to Daisy. Okay. I'm Daisy, but to keep it private, you can refer to me as Marie.
All right.
Of course,
so
my husband...
the friend said Ty had sex with Marie's mom, but you can't tell anyone.
Right. To her
husband. Right.
But so then, of course, her husband told her.
Yeah.
But I reiterated that I couldn't tell anyone. I, being completely freaked out, called my mom and confronted her. She denied it, of course, so I brushed it off as Dan was being weird and lying. Years later, literally yesterday, I messaged another old mutual friend of ours and asked about it because he and her were best friends at the time. And I knew he'd be a reliable source because I trust him even all these years later, and he said this. I actually do remember he was talking to her a lot, and at one point he said he was going to meet up with her, but they didn't go through with meeting up at that time. So Mike, what's your advice there?
I don't understand. Like, what is she trying to accomplish? Like getting her mom to apologize? I don't really understand like what the
dealing with
like I see
that?
What the
like,
problem
how do you
is,
deal with that? What would you do?
How do you deal with it? I actually would just be like, you know what, mom, props, and move on.
Well, we all know what you did with your mom.
Yeah, just kill her. No, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
To have your mom like hook up with your crush.
Yeah.
But also, it's not like it was her boyfriend. You can't call
Well,
dibs.
It's kind of crazy, too, because if he had gotten with her, that would be illegal. But him getting with her mom is legal.
Yeah, that's true.
That is that's
maybe
a
her
weird
mom
thing.
was just saving her from an illegal situation.
I think it's the same advice Wes just gave. Just use that block button, you know?
Yeah.
On who? Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
It's like you've moved on already. Your mom gave you this crazy story. He doesn't seem like he would have been that great of a choice considering what happened.
Yeah.
Like flirting with someone's daughter and mom at the same time is not the best behavior.
Yeah. She
So
dodged a
maybe it
bullet.
is just like, you know what? Props to those guys for doing something crazy in their life.
Yeah. It's funny that like she wasn't supposed to tell anyone, and now we're telling hundreds of thousands of people. Also, who is the basketball guy that slept with LeBron James' mom? Barnes?
Yeah,
Is that
Devontae
Barnes?
West.
Oh, Devontae West. That's right.
He's homeless.
That's cool.
Now.
Yeah.
He's going through it.
That's not cool, but it's cool that he slept with LeBron's mom. All right. So we're going to move on now to our final quick category, which is Conservation Corner for great white sharks, one of our favorite animals. They are listed as IUCN vulnerable. They're not quite as at risk as some of the other species of shark, but we really don't have a good idea how many are left in the world. Scientists think there could be anywhere between 6,000 to 20,000 great white sharks in the world, and their biggest threats are bycatch in fishing nets. So like they happen to get tangled up in a fishing net. Some of the nets that keep sharks off of beaches in places like Australia, they get tangled up in those too. That's the way that they die. And then probably their biggest threat is just loss of food sources through overfishing and poor management of different marine places. So like places where seals are dying off or fish that they eat are dying off will then end up having an effect on great white sharks. So as the ocean changes, we would expect to lose more of this shark. But most of the places where they used to be fished or hunted or whatever else, there are now moratoriums where you can't kill great white sharks. In the US, they are a legally protected species. You're not allowed to fish for them on purpose or kill them or anything.
You're only really allowed to kill them if they kill a person.
Yeah, I think if one was killing a person and you had a gun and you shot it, you'd be okay. But you're not allowed to like target them fishing or anything.
I mean, like if one kills a person, people can go out and try to kill it.
I don't think so. Not in the
really?
US. Yeah, because you're probably not going to get the right shark. It's very unlikely that you'd get it unless you can kill it right then and there and save the person. So
I kind of don't think they got the right shark in the movie Jaws.
yeah, they must not have because
They just got the big one.
Yeah. Sure. All right.
They did kill Quint, but yeah, I mean, at that point, they were messing
Could have been a
with it.
different shark. still.
Self-defense.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for the story. This is one that I've wanted to tell for a long time, so I'm glad we got to tell it. Heather, if you're out there, I hope you're living a wonderful life, and Phil, you too. I hope you guys are both doing well and able to get past the trauma of this incident. And don't forget, guys, be really careful about your seafood choices because a lot of sharks die to go into the seafood industry. So you really have to be careful about it. Look for sustainable seafood that's harvested ethically, or else you are really contributing to shark depopulation.
Yeah.
All right.
And Jeff's random animal fact is great whites can swim 35 miles an hour.
Perfect. Where'd you hear that?
Very germane to the episode.
See you guys.
I had it prepped. You just happened to say the one.
Yeah. Mike just did a fun episode on moths too on our Patreon channel if you want to check that out.
Like that doesn't sound exciting when you say it, but like,
Yeah,
I thought it was such a fun episode.
it was great. Yeah.
Vampire moths. Have you guys ever heard of that? You better subscribe if you haven't.
Mothman. Did you know Mothman's all caked up? You
God,
better listen to our episode.
Shapely rump. That's a fact.
Oh, I'd straddle Mothman. All right.
How
We'll see
many
you guys.
monarchs could beat one Atlas moth?
I mean, we really do the hard hitting science on that one. Jeff did.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.